Mark.
And I'm Josh.
And this is Alter Ego Comics TV for May 9th? 8th? I should know what day it is.
Close enough.
We're going to call it the 9th, because I think that's right. Talking about the best comics out this week. Stuff that we enjoyed the most, that hopefully you will enjoy as well. And pick up at your local comic shop. And my pick of the week is... There were two kind of heavy hitters this week, and both of them are in my stack. But my pick of the week is Venom number 1 by Donnie Cates and Ryan Stegman. I don't know what the legacy number is, or if it matters. Legacy number 166. Marvel's doing this thing where fresh start, new number ones, that sort of thing, but they're also including the original numbering, which they're labeling LGY instead of just spelling out legacy, or
they say
instead of just putting a different number on there. Yeah, who knows? Maybe they pay per letter. Okay, so Donnie Cates, you may be familiar with his work on his creator-owned books, Baby Teeth and God Country, but he has also been lighting up the sales charts over at Marvel with Thanos and Doctor Strange, and now he is taking on Venom, and it has a little more of a horror tint to it than previous Venom series. I am not the biggest fan of Venom in the world, but I really enjoyed Kate's take on it, as well as Ryan Stegman's artwork. I think Stegman is doing some of the best stuff I've ever seen him draw. So, who is Venom? Venom this time around is Eddie Brock. We're back to the original, I guess. We find out there may have been others before Eddie Brock. But Eddie is bonded with the symbiote, and the thing I like about this is that it's kind of a throwback to the Lethal Protector days, where they're protecting innocence, where Venom is not a villain, where Eddie is not out to get Spider-Man, where they're actually on a mission to protect the innocent, but the symbiote's having nightmares. So we find out that there may in fact be a lengthy backstory to the Venom symbiote. We're introduced to some new characters, and just the dark feel of it, the moody artwork by Stegman is a perfect fit for this book, and I truly enjoyed the heck out of it. I hope that Cates continues to just knock things out of the park in the Marvel Universe, because he's really taking characters off in new directions, and so far, at least with Thanos and Doctor Strange, fans have responded very well to it, and I think that fans are going to respond to Venom as well.
Hi Jess, hi Paul. Are we rested after Free Comic Book Day? No, you never really recover from Free Comic Book Day.
Ever.
You just find a way to live there.
It's just cumulative. We've done 13 of them. That means we only have a few years left.
12. Because you didn't do one the first year.
Right. Counting 2006. This was our 13th.
Oh, okay, yeah, because we've been doing it for 12 years. This was the 13th one. Got
it.
Yes. Math. It's like when you cut a piece of bread.
Dozen. Baker's dozen.
Right.
Whatever. Go ahead.
My pick of the week this week is Angelic, and this is actually the graphic novel from Image Comics, written by Spurrier, who I believe I talked about last week.
He was the pick of the week last week.
Yeah, and art by Caspar Wijngaard. And
I think he's from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, all right, that sounds right. There's a little pull quote on the back here from Brian K. Vaughan. Angelic is beautifully illustrated, pure imagination from one of the best writers in comics, plus monkeys. I love it. Brian K. Vaughan, writer of Saga, Paper Girls, and Barrier. And I agree with Brian K. Vaughan. It is awesome. I don't want to spoil what it's about, but it is a post-apocalyptic world. Almost every character we see in the book is an animal that has been either genetically or bio it's messed up. There's cybernetics. And it's about race and xenophobia and religion, and it is awesome and beautiful and whimsical. There are flying monkeys and cybernetic flying dolphins and just everything you want to read in a surrealist fantasy. It's awesome. It's really, really good. This is the whole first 6 issues. It's a very... this is the beginning of an ongoing, but it's very self-contained. You could read this and get a good story out of it without having to keep going. If you like manatees, there's flying manatees and
is everything flying?
Well, pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Because the city's basically destroyed, so that the elevators don't run no more. But yeah, it's awesome. It's really, really awesome. And I don't know if because obviously it's just words on a page. I swear to God, the dolphins are supposed to be British. Like they sound.
I believe Spurrier is British, but I'm not entirely sure. And we just sold a copy. So sorry, we don't have this anymore. It's going to Jess.
But yeah, I was really thrilled with it. That is all. Oh, and I forgot about the weird, like if there was a evil cybernetic version of the Cheshire Cat. There's one of those. It's like a teleporting giant cat that talks and weird. It's great. It's so strange, but I liked it.
Read more on Josh's blog.
Not a thing.
Not a thing. It should be. I keep telling him.
Josh's blog, it's at notathing.com.
I'm sure that exists already.
I'm sure it does. It's probably porn.
My next pick of the week, Peter Parker, number 34. Peter Parker, The Spectacular Spider-Man, number 34. Written by the always awesome and funny Chip Zdarsky. Artwork by Adam Kubert. And this is Back to the Future Part 2. This is the third part, I think, maybe fourth part of the time-traveling story where Peter and his sister Teresa, I had her in grade school. She was my fourth grade teacher. And J. Jonah Jameson go back in time to try and stop an alien invasion. And they run into past versions of themselves, except for Teresa, but she gets to hang out with One-Eyed Nick Fury, the original Nick Fury from the Howling Commandos, and that sort of thing. So they try to prevent this alien invasion attack from happening. They think they're successful, but there's a caveat. Apparently, they were able to go back in time through the use of Doctor Doom's time trampoline or time slide, time platform. That's what it was called. Yeah. But it had been tweaked somehow, and supposedly they weren't going to, whatever they did wouldn't have any long-standing ramifications for the future. Well, they get back to, or for the present, they get back to the present, and guess what? This Pleasure Palace is at the center of New York City. So things change, and we have many changes that I don't want to go into without spoiling for you, but there are bad guys that are in positions of power, and Peter Parker may have hung up his webs in the meantime. Someone important from Peter's life may still be alive. All of this stuff happened because of the butterfly effect. So
they watched that Ashton Kutcher movie.
They did. They watched the sequel, and it was horrible. No, I actually haven't seen the sequel, but the original's really good. Butterfly effect. That's what we do. We throw in odd movie reviews in the middle of comic book reviews. So Peter Parker number 3. I got a lot of thumbs up for that. Peter Parker 304 really should be on your reading list every month. Not just that issue every month, but each new issue that comes out. It was so good. Did you like it?
I did.
Yes.
It was awesome. Hi Aubrey. Hi Roberto. And hi Ed. Yes, time travel never works out. Damn it, Barry. No, I love the whole book, but every month the intro page, previous one, is so good.
And is that who's he talking to? Is that
it doesn't matter.
It's like so you have to read the intro page.
It's like Deadpool's interior voices. There's two, and they're having a conversation. Speaking of, next up for me this week, we've got Hunt for Wolverine, the Adamantium Agenda. This is part 1 of a, I believe, 4-issue mini-series written by your friend of mine, Tom Taylor, art by R.B. Silva. And this is a story of Tony Stark getting together a gang of people to help locate Wolverine's body, and we see stuff in the present, but we also see flashbacks about why Tony feels compelled to help track down Logan's adamantium block corpse, and also why he picks the people he picks. So we get a flashback story from the New Avengers days. I'm not clear if this is... Well, it's got to be pre-Civil War, because Tony and Luke are on the same side. And it's just really, really awesome. Wolverine, Spider-Man, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, and Iron Man together is something I always want to read. And Taylor nails the voices. It's not overly exposition heavy. Like, well, if you've never read any of the New Avengers, you don't need to. All you need to know is those heroes are working together. So it's really easy to pick up and go, but there's also a lot of layers for stuff if you are familiar with the backstory. And it's just fun. It's they need to go undercover and try and find there's a underground auction to sell off someone's DNA. They think it's probably Wolverine's. So Peter Parker going undercover is always awesome, and it's just so fun. So I can say that about every Tom Taylor book, but it's so much fun. Also, in the running for most fun book ever, Batman White Knight 8. This is the last issue of an 8-issue series. The whole thing is written and directed by Sean Murphy, and he's got some help from Matt Hollingsworth, and it was great. Page 1 to the last page. Awesome, heartfelt, a love letter to the Batman mythos. Probably the most feminist superhero book on the stands that doesn't have a woman's name in the title, and just 18 kinds of enjoyable. So if you didn't check out Batman White Knight in single issues, grab the trade when it comes out. You will not regret it.
And that would be me. I read the first issue or the second issue, and I'm at the stage of my life, I may have repeated this in the past, my brain can't handle too many single issue comics. So if I like the first issue of something, I just stop reading at that point, for the most part. If it's a miniseries and I get the graphic novel or collected edition. So I can't wait. I'm glad it's over. Thank goodness. So I can get the graphic novel when it comes out, hopefully within the next few months.
It's not been solicited yet, so it's at least 3 months out.
Yeah, and it should be a nice hardcover to start with.
Hope,
I would think. It's 8 issues. Okay, my final selection this week is Justice League No Justice, number 1 of 4. This is a weekly miniseries that bridges the gap between Dark Knight's Metal and the new Justice League series by Scott Snyder. So we have three writers on the stone. We have 3 writers on here: Scott Snyder, Joshua Williamson, and James Tynion IV, who have written amazing stuff at DC. 2 of them are currently still writing amazing things over at DC. Williamson is the writer of The Flash. Tynion IV, writer of Detective Comics, which was also great this week. It's not in either of our stacks, but it's great every week. Artwork on this one is Francis Manapul, and I believe each issue is by a different artist. And again, we get to see the fallout of Dark Knight's Metal, what it did to the Source Wall, why these big bad evil things are coming to destroy the Earth and other planets in the solar system. And we have new Justice League teams. We talked about this a little bit last week, 2 weeks ago, last week in the DC Nation 25-cent book, because they did have a prelude to this in there. Brainiac essentially is now trying to assemble the ultimate Justice League teams to defeat these celestial type beings that are coming to destroy everything. And the teams are made up of good guys and bad guys and medium guys and gals, and just all kinds of incredible. There's so many characters in here, it is amazing. There are characters who don't even speak, who don't even get any like on page word bubbles, but they're still super cool and maybe will play a role as it moves forward. So again, this is a weekly series, No Justice, 4 issues, and then we get Scott Snyder's Justice League, and then I believe there are 2 other. There's a new Justice League Dark series. I'm drawing a blank on who's writing it, but I believe Wonder Woman is the headliner of that one.
Yeah, that's a weird. I mean, it makes
and
sense.
it's supposed to make it will make sense, I guess, as we get through this. But Manapul's artwork is top notch. Seeing all of these Justice League characters in one book is fantastic, and yeah, it kind of ends. It ends on a cliffhanger, which is great because it's a weekly series. But I neglected to mention Amanda Waller's there in the Suicide Squad, and whenever Suicide Squad and Waller go up against Justice League or in the same book as Justice League, bad stuff happens. So I really enjoyed this. Looking forward to all 4 parts, and of course Scott Snyder writing Justice League. Let's see. I'll answer a question while Josh orders takeout. Or
sorry. Yes, Michael J. Fox would make an excellent Peter Parker. Peter Parker. No, I was trying to get the answer to the next question because I didn't know it. So.
Yeah, who is taking over Detective? I don't know. We should know.
A quick.
Maybe I'll look it up.
Google suggests that it's Scott Snyder.
That is probably incorrect.
Yeah. Unless this is the one he took over last time. Oh, this 2008, not 2018. My bad. Dates are hard.
It is not extremely important to read.
Is it Peter Tomasi?
No. Mike wants to know if it's important to read Metal before picking up No Justice. No, you do not have to have read Metal to pick up No Justice. If you like the characters from the Justice League, if you like superheroes, you can pick up No Justice and hit the ground running, and it's everything you need to know is in this issue.
Yeah, the events of Metal have very little bearing on what happened. It's more fallout from their actions. Yeah. We didn't really see what they did in Metal anyway, so it's just kind of, you jacked stuff up. Why did you let Biff have the sports almanac? We're just all Back to the Future references today. Thoughts on Isola 2? It was beautiful and awesome, and no one will buy it because no one bought number 1, so we don't have very many copies, sadly. But it was beautiful, and I really liked it. but quality is not always the same as sellability.
Well, we should say your mileage may vary.
Yeah,
with
absolutely.
That. Certain stores in different markets are able to sell independent books a lot easier than us here in the Midwest, in the rural Midwest, I should say. We are primarily, as far as single issues goes, Alter Ego is primarily a superhero store, despite our best efforts. We have, that sounds bad, but we really do try to give indie books a shot here. But after so many years of hitting our heads up against the wall, we just throw in the towel sometimes. We've done that on Valiant, I hate to say it, and some of the other publishers where we've just tried and tried and tried. We've given things away for free. We've gotten people to pick up the first issue, and then they're gone by issue 3. But we're not going to stop trying, I guess. You know, we do have
copies available
on the wall.
Throwing a lot.
There are books coming out where we will have plenty of copies of indie books. And last week, both of our picks were indie books. We had Death or Glory and Coda.
And those were both good.
Yeah. So we love them. And
they both sold fewer copies than You Are Deadpool.
Yes.
Which is my next pick this week. You Are Deadpool number 2, the second part of the Deadpool time-traveling choose-your-own-adventure. Even if you didn't read the first one, if you're a fan of like 60s era Marvel, you might want to pick this one up. It's all done in that kind of retro art style, sort of like the Ed Piskor stuff where it has kind of the fake aging. But also, Deadpool has to recharge his time machine, so he needs a power source. He's in 1961, so he could power it by cosmic rays with the FF. He could power it by the Gamma Bomb with the Incredible Hulk, or he could power it through angst and art by becoming a beat poet or artist like Andy Warhol. And if that didn't make you want to read it, I can't help you. But
is he wearing a beret?
He
and
is
black
actually, yes.
Okay.
Over his costume.
I
as
see.
is the way of my
Yes.
people. It is awesome and hilarious and fun. And if you are an RPG fan, the variants to these are amazing. The variant to the first one was a parody of Paranoia, a classic role-playing game. The variant to this one is a parody of the Marvel role-playing game from the 80s. Also out this week is Vader 16 by Charles Soule and Giuseppe Camicoli. Is it Giuseppe or did I just make that name up? It is Giuseppe. Go team. I just wanted to mention that every time I think I'm done with Darth Vader, Charles Soule pulls me back in. This is the middle of the storyline, and I was like, yeah, I don't think I want to keep reading after this is done. And then by the end of this issue, I'm like, well, I need to keep reading. So he finds a great way of making me care about incredibly minor characters that are really only going to appear in 1 or 2 issues. It's the mark of a strong writer, and that is really why the Marvel books have been so successful with Star Wars, because they're keeping A-list talent on them.
Okay, so Mike is excited about Farmhand coming out. I believe it's from Image. The artist of Chew, Rob Gilroy. Gilroy is, I believe, writing and drawing it. He might just be writing it. I don't remember. But yes, we are looking forward to that. I hate myself for not knowing this. Never mind, it's John Layman.
Yeah,
the writer.
John
of
Layman's
Chew.
the writer of Chew.
Yes, and I would like to see more from John Layman. Actually, we had someone in the shop. I don't know if it was over Free Comic Book Day weekend, who wanted something like Chew, and there is nothing really like Chew on the stands, past or present. Hopefully, future we'll get some more work by Layman, and I'll just see Layman and Gilroy team up again and do something.
Yeah. I think the Goon is as close as you can come for like humor, but like also murder and pathos,
and that's another one, by the way.
Oh yeah, we would love to sell the Goon, but we can't.
We both love the Goon. I own the library editions. I own the artist editions. I laugh every time I read it, except Chinatown, which is depressing and sad.
Which is supposed to be.
Yes, but we can't sell the Goon to save our lives here. I don't understand. So. If you have any tips, tips for those of us
that John Layman to write
that work
else.
in comics retail on how to sell comics, send those to Marc at alteregocomics.com or post them in the comments below. So there is some great stuff that came out this week. Hopefully, number one, you made it to your local comic shop for Free Comic Book Day, because there were some real winners this year. Number two, head out to your local comic shop and show support towards comics that are awesome. You have lots of choices this week, and we're headed into the summer season where there's all kinds of excitement happening in comics. We definitely appreciate you tuning in and watching live with us, if that's what you're doing. If you're watching this on a replay, we still like you too. Or if you're listening to the podcast version, yes, we love you the most. No, because you can't see us. No.
Do you like people who can't see me?
Yes. So, as always, if you enjoyed this episode, please like, comment, and share so that we can get it in front of more people. Mike, we wish you lived in Ohio too, and thanks for telling us that we're awesome.
I don't know if I wish that on anyone.
Sometimes I need to hear it from someone other than my parents. Ohio's pretty cool. That's it. Any final thoughts?
No final thoughts.
Okay.
Comics are awesome.
They are. And they're for everyone.
Truth.
Go get some, read some, and we'll see you next week.